Hello, welcome to this week's Instagram Live with Spark PR. This week we have a really special guest. Her name is Julia Lawless. She is a really experienced essential oil therapist. Oh, wait a minute, I've got her on the line. I won't be a minute, I'll just bring her in. Hello, Julia. Are you there? Julia, hi.
Hi, Tracy.
Welcome. Sorry, I only just got into the room to come and do this live, so just getting organised. But thank you for joining us today.
That's a pleasure.
I was just telling everyone that that we're really pleased to have you here today because you are the queen of essential oils. And in fact, you've written the Encyclopedia of Essential Oils, which is distributed worldwide into many different languages. And it's your love of sort of plants and their powers that have sort of brought you here, and also to help found Aqua Oleum, which specialises in essential oils. So so welcome, and I hope all well with you. So first of all, just tell us, you studied herbal medicine some years ago. What encouraged you to sort of start studying the subject, and how this sort of then led you on to actually write the books that you wrote?
Well, first of all, I suppose it goes back to being brought up in the countryside. I spent a lot of my childhood in Herefordshire on the banks of the River Wye, growing up there, which is just a beautiful natural environment. So I learned all of the wildflower names. I suppose I'm a nature devotee. And so I really feel like nature is the healer. And we are just intermediaries in that. So it was a very natural progression, really, from, starting as a child, collecting wildflowers, pressing them, knowing all their names, and then obviously becoming a passionate gardener as well. But I have to bring in my mother at this point, because it wasn't me who actually founded Aqua Oleum. The story goes like this. My mother was a Finnish biochemist, and she studied essential oils as her thesis at Helsinki University. This is going back, kind of way, early, probably 1940s, 1930s, way before aromatherapy was fashionable. And she had an interest in them because of not only their biochemical complexity, but because she was interested in their therapeutic potential. So this is really the roots of the aromatherapy movement, if you like. And what she realized is that because, well, first of all, I have to say she comes from a generation of herbalists as well. My Finnish great-grandmother was knowledgeable about herbs. My mother always had a big herb garden. So she combined her kind of biochemical expertise with herbal expertise. And coming out of that, she actually founded the business, which is now Aqua Oleum. She called it in the 1970s, and it was originally called the Natural Essence Company. Very, more like a cottage industry, if you like. Yes. And then it was when I married Alec. He actually chose the name Aqua Oleum and became involved in the business. And he was very important in actually building it up to, where it is today. And I have to say, I'm here with my daughter, Natasha, who also is extremely important in terms of the business, because she obviously brings the design side to it. Yes. And also the social media, and you can't have a business these days without, good design, So, for example, she's the one who's designed, our packaging like this. And yeah, it's a very important, I think we're all kind of, we're complementary.
Yes, no, absolutely. Well, you have all that heritage, and it's really lovely as a family business that you're now, the new generation is sort of taking it forward and bringing other elements, to it as well. So, yeah, you must feel really good about that,
Yeah, no, it's very nice. And I just have to say that the encyclopedia that you mentioned, I actually started writing that when Tasha went to nursery school.
Oh,
And
wow.
I had one of those original little Macintosh computers that look like they're out of the Stone Age now. And I started writing, this is the updated version of the encyclopedia. I started writing this, must be over 30 years ago now, simply because there wasn't a single book available at that time which gave a comprehensive view of a lot of essential oils, because it was an emerging therapy at that time. It was not at all mainstream. So yeah, my writing, I was trained as a writer. That was my sort of university degree, if you like. But then I also trained in herbal medicine, and also in aromatherapy with the London School of Aromatherapy. And so I kind of combined all those factors together. And then the encyclopedia became a bestseller. And so that started me on a kind of writing career, after which I wrote about 20 books on different aspects, including gardening. I've written an aromatic gardening book as well. So that's how one thing sort of led to another, if you like.
Yeah, so lovely. Now, I know with essential oils, there's varying degrees of quality. So you have to be careful where you source your oils from, don't you? How do you know what makes a high quality oil? I mean, for you, probably can tell really easily, but for the sort of the general person in the street,
just to give a background about why this is an important issue. If we approach it in a common sense way, a lot of essential oils are produced for commercial purposes. In my encyclopedia, where I say the uses of a particular oil, apart from aromatherapy, they're used in perfumery, they're used as food flavoring, they're used to scent various products. And if you think of the commercial world, what they want is consistency. They don't want their peppermint sweet or whatever to have one type of consistency one year and then the other. But pure essential oils, natural essential oils, vary from year to year. This is the thing, they're a bit like a wine product, where you say, oh, this is a really good year for wine, because of the particular weather conditions. So a naturally grown essential oil varies from year to year. So it's not as if one is looking in a high quality essential oil for the same thing year after year. What you're looking for is the fact that it's pure and hasn't been adulterated. And by adulteration, I mean tampered with in order to give it consistency from year to year in like a commercial use, or I'm afraid to say, boosting an essential oil or an absolute with an element of their constituents it's a way of sort of, it's a bit like kind of diluting it, but with a chemical substitute. And that is done a lot.
Is it? Yeah.
Very, very, it's rife in the aromatherapy market. And so I'm afraid to say one of the things that is really important in a high quality oil is actually the expertise in knowing where the oil is coming from and how it is being produced. You have to go back to the source, if you like, to know that it isn't being chemically produced or synthetic. For example, in the pharmaceutical industry, who also use essential oils, there's a product called Nature Identical. Now, Nature Identical is simply a blend of chemical synthetics to imitate a natural oil. If you don't have experience in essential oils, you can be duped, although I have to say, I mean, synthetic products actually give me a headache.
Oh, do they? That's
Yeah.
a bit like wine.
Yeah, a bit like wine.
Bad
Exactly.
wine.
Whereas I have never got a headache from an essential oil. You know, one is a chemical product, one is a natural product. And it's a little bit, it's like the difference between silk and nylon, you know. You can't say they're the same, but they're given the same kind of job.
Yeah.
So one of the other points that I think is very important is the whole thing around organics. Organics are becoming a very big part of our market because, you know, organic products obviously are good for the planet. They're becoming more and more popular. But unlike food products, where the organic labeling has to correspond very closely to certain criteria, in the sort of beauty market, if you like, or wellness market, there isn't those stringent guidelines. So, for example, you could produce a cosmetic product and call it organic, and in there's less than 1% organics.
I know, it's terrible.
It is. So it's extremely misleading. So one of the things to look out for is, for example, we have all of our organic products certified by the Soil Association, which has, you can probably see this little symbol here.
Yeah.
That shows it's 100% organic, not, you know, 0.5%.
No.
So it's, you know, this is another thing in terms of quality. You have to be careful. And another thing I would say in terms of kind of quality products for essential oils, natural doesn't mean safe. You know, essential oils are very concentrated products, and certainly in the UK, you don't use them internally. Obviously, if you make a peppermint sweet, they use peppermint essential oils put in there, but it's in minute quantities and it's used very specifically.
Yeah.
I would not recommend anyone taking essential oils internally, and therefore any reputable company has very stringent data on their labeling saying, don't use this if you have high blood pressure, don't take this internally. You know, there's certain things like rosemary, for example, is not good for people who have epilepsy because it's quite a strong stimulant. And essential oils are powerful substances.
I know.
So you need to, these are some of the guidelines I would say towards identifying a high quality oil, and also a reputable supplier is a very important element of that.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And I think, you know, you talk about the high potency of the oils. I mean, and that's what's fascinating about them, because we still today, there's so much more that we don't know about them still, isn't there? We're learning, well, I'm sure you are, you know, every day.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing about the natural world. You know, I can't remember what percentage of the Amazon forest, you know, plants we've actually researched, but I think it's absolutely minute. So this whole area of, you know, kind of plant therapy, it's absolutely vast. I feel myself, I'm scratching the surface, you know, after 40 years plus in this field. I feel like a beginner. You know, so it's quite amazing in that sense.
Oh, well, that's what makes your work, you know, so interesting, and that you want to keep moving on, you know, unlike some jobs that people have. So it's good. So for someone new to essential oils, is there a good place to start? You know, are there certain oils that it's good for them to sort of start to familiarize themselves with or use?
I would say a good kind of starting kit, if you like. I mean, it has to start with lavender. This is our lavender. We also do an organic lavender. Because lavender has to be the most versatile oil. It's by far our best seller. And I must say, it's the oil I myself, after all of these years, I have it by my bedside. You know, like I always have it with me, because it's so useful for just about everything. First of all, it's soothing, which we all need in these times. then it's really good for all sorts of minor first aid, you know, things like cuts, grazes, bruises, and all of that aspect. The other thing is it's extremely safe. So for people who are beginning and don't necessarily feel confident about blending this and that or giving massages, lavender can easily, you can add it to your bath as a kind of to soothe you, or putting it in a vaporizer is also good. Or you can use it to like scent your pillow. You can put it on your pillow. It's just very versatile. In fact, there's 4 oils that I wrote individual books about. This is the one on lavender, which is called
a whole book.
Nature's Most Versatile Remedy.
Yeah.
So there's a whole book here about lavender because it's also good for aches and pains. You know, you can put it like, for example, if you've like I've just sprained myself through doing yoga. All of my injuries are through doing yoga.
Oh dear.
I know. So
and you're an expert in that as well, I hear.
Well, I trained a long time ago, but I got very rusty. Yeah, meditation and yoga, but which I still absolutely believe is an incredibly valuable thing, especially as you get older.
I know. Yeah.
Some of my friends now are really kind of getting on. A lot of them do yoga, and I'm thinking that is the key to aging gracefully.
Yeah, I hope so. That's what I'm doing too. With the lavender, when I first met you some years ago, what surprised me was that there wasn't just one type of lavender, that there were a number of them. And I know I've been using your high altitude lavender, which I love, and there's certainly differences in the scent of them as well.
That's right. I mean, I've just been here actually with my daughter going through different types of lavender for the kind of botanical images. And the thing about high altitude lavender is it's just what I was talking about in terms of climate and, you know, soil, if you like. High altitude lavender is the same. It's like angustifolia or officinalis. It's the same type of lavender as this one that, you know, this kind of the standard, if you like.
Yeah.
But it's grown at a high altitude, and therefore it gets more sun. And therefore there's a component in lavender which is called linalool. It's one of the constituents. And that linalool is boosted by being in a high altitude. And that means it becomes sweeter. It becomes kind of sweeter and more rounded. So you can't say, you know, so this is, you know, having a kind of sweeter, rounder lavender, obviously, you know, is nice. But the other angustifolia lavender grown at a lower altitude, therapeutically, is also very good. And it even, you know, then there's like lavandin, which is so-called spike lavender. It's a rougher plant, and that has more camphor in it. So it's more, it's a kind of more camphorous smell. But I actually used that type of lavender in one of my blends in defense. The blend for basically stimulating one's immune system and protecting one's respiratory system because of the camphoraceous element in it.
Yeah.
You can begin to see that they each have their own place, if you like. Yeah. And then there's lavender absolute, which is absolutely amazing. And it's green, dark green. It's like an inky green blue, and it's used a lot in perfumery. And it's extremely sedative. I absolutely love it. So, you know, you're not going to use that putting it on your pillow. For a start, it stain your pillow.
Yes.
Greeny blue. But in blends, for example, it's extremely useful. And yeah, so again, that I would say is a perfumery.
Yeah.
The lavandin is a camphoraceous, good for the respiratory system. The lavender is more like sedative, and the lavandin, the high altitude is sweeter. So perhaps you would want to use that, you know, as a perfume or room freshener, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I've used it for in a diffuser, and it's been lovely. Yeah, really nice and fresh. Yeah. So Yeah, you've spoken about, you know, obviously essential oils are good for certain conditions. So it would be good to know which oils or which blend of oils is best to use for some of the most sort of common sort of ailments, such as, you know, anxiety and stress and sleep, etc. Can you let us know what's best to use? Because I know you also do your own blends where they're already blended, so people can just buy them off the shelf. But what sort of essential oils go into making these?
Well, I mean, first of all, I would say, I mean, you know, there's this stress and anxiety, you know, which I think we all suffer from these days because of the fast pace of life. Aromatherapy is very, the whole kind of growth of aromatherapy, where essential oils are combined with massage, has been found to be extremely effective for, you know, dealing with stress and anxiety. So first of all, I would say, I mean, who's not going to like, you know, an aromatic massage?
Yeah.
You know, so the whole combination of touch, rubbing the essential oils into your skin through massage, and the therapeutic effect of the oils themselves is a sort of really winning and well-researched combination to overcome anxiety and stress. And I can say that, okay, not all of us are going to be able to have like a kind of massage every day, although that would be high on my agenda. We can also do self-massage, like, you know, like rubbing, you know, for example, we do a lot of our, the floral oils, like neroli, rose, jasmine, I would put very high on the list of anti-stress. I mean, rose, for example, has a real affinity with the heart. You know that through mythology, you know, but it kind of has been proven if you are kind of depressed, grief, heartbroken, all of these things, rose has this really comforting effect on the heart. So for kind of stress and effect, yeah, this kind of stress, I would say rose. Okay. The kind of stress that's associated with like a, you know, a speeding mind, I would go more for neroli, which is extremely soothing. And jasmine is associated with kind of optimism, you know, so it's uplifting. You can say all the citrus oils are uplifting as well. But jasmine has that real kind of, well, they're kind of florals. So they have that real richness in it as well. They're not just like lifting up, but they're very rich. And what I was saying is we do all of those in like a 5%. So you can sort of rub them on you can rub them on your wrists, you can rub them on your neck. Something like lavender to, you know, kind of soothe. You can actually use that oil neat. And a kind of tip, actually, for example, you know, if you're stressed and you need to get to sleep, is you can actually rub it into the soles of your feet. Oh, that's a good tip. It's effective because the soles of the feet absorb quite quickly. So you rub a few of these, the oil into the soles of your feet, and it'll really help you sleep. And again, it's just really pleasant. My granddaughter got addicted to this because I would do this for her to help her sleep. And after that, it was like every night. Every night. Yeah, every night. Yeah, can I have a foot massage?
That's the problem, isn't it? Well, it's interesting because what you're saying is it's, you know, it's not just one oil treats, you know, stress. You have to look at what type of stress or anxiety you're suffering from. And then it's very specific to the essential oil that will help you most.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a very interesting area, the whole way that the emotions are affected. You know, because here we're talking about stress comes out in physical ways as well. But, you know, if you think the root of conditions is the mind, you know, what's interesting about essential oils is they combat physical conditions, but they combat emotional conditions at the same time. And actually, one of the books that I wrote, which is Aromatherapy in the Mind, explores that. And actually, this was a book that I'm still quite proud of because I researched it in the old British Library. This is before one does all the research on the internet.
Yes, I know. Remember those days.
those days, the British Library, as you probably know, it's got miles of books in the corridors underneath London. And I would go there and I would request all of these old herbals that they had in their catalogue. And then I would have to sit there and go to the cafe while it took them 2 hours to get the trolley down these like miles of tunnels. And so they had access to all of these old herbals. So I did research into starting with incense and going right through to research on brain scan machines. And I just want to read something here because I do find it quite interesting. You know, this kind of the way that anxiety can be either associated with depression or it can be associated with like an overactive mind. That's not to say that one doesn't swap between one to the other, but I just want to quote from my book here. So modern research has shown that oils such as basil, clove, fennel, geranium, jasmine, orange, pine, rosemary and lang-lang can help ease depression by having a stimulating effect on our nervous system. In other words, these are uppers.
Yeah.
Conversely, oils such as bay, bergamot, chamomile, clary sage, cypress, lavender, melissa, neroli, rose, and valerian can help to ease anxiety by having a sedative effect on our nervous system. So this is like scientific research. This is just according to you know, kind of blood samples, brain scans.
Yeah, that's interesting because you know mostly when you have a spa treatment using aromatherapy, you are asked to sort of breathe in the oils to see which one you prefer. Because it was interesting, your second list that you read out then, I would tend to go, I've actually bought most of the second list rather than the first list. And I thought, oh, is that because I want to ease anxiety rather than, you know?
Yes. So, I mean, I would absolutely say, I mean, when you asked me the question, you know, like, where do you start? Another way to answer that is go with what you like. I mean, I really believe in, you know, the kind of wisdom of nature as well. And, you know, because I experience in myself, I'm drawn to different things that I need. And recently I've been kind of dipping into Ayurveda as well.
That's
and
very
I
good.
really like their philosophy.
Yes, I do.
They really promote, you know, the kind of intelligence of nature. You know, where, you know, and this is like our own intelligence as well, that we kind of know what we need at different times. Just as, for example, if I'm getting a cold, I can literally start drinking or eating raw lemons. I am not going to do that. You know, kind of generally, I know they're super healthy, but I'm not drawn to them. You know, so it's like your body says, this is what you need. Do it. You know, and in the same way, we're attracted to different smells at different times. Sometimes it can be through association. I'll go into that in a minute. But it can also be because that's what we need. Our body needs it. So I would say you are being drawn to what you need. And then, in other words, you probably have a very busy life. I know you have a very busy life. You know, so you are drawn to those oils that are going to basically, you know, relax you.
Yeah. That's interesting. Really good. So if you're, you know, if it's not so much anxiety, but it's things like sleep, would you, you know, if you have a sleep problem, would you tend to suggest someone moves more to lavender, or again, does it depend?
I would say that if you have a sleep problem, you know, there's obviously underlying problems with sleep problems. And, you know, we can't say that, you know, having a oil is going to solve everything. I know there's been quite a lot of research into sleep problems, and one of the things they say about it is it's really important to have like routines. You know, you go to bed at a certain time, you wake up at a certain time. Don't have machines in your bedroom. So, you know, one always has to put, you know, kind of remedies in the context of, you know, other things that you're doing as well. But in terms of essential oils, I think lavender is really the go-to again. I mean, it's been used in hospitals very successfully, you know, for getting people to sleep. I mean, another one which is really important to sleep, I would say is, and this is the kind of the herbal remedy, is valerian. Valerian is the sedative herb used in herbal medicine. But you have to be a little bit careful, because if, for example, you know, this is coming back to your thing, does it depend? If you're depressed, if you're subject to depression, then it's not a good idea to use valerian over long periods of time. But what I actually formulated for this, for those who are really having a problem, is I did a blend. It's called Deep Sleep.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
It does have quite a kind of narcotic smell, I would say. It's based on valerian for its, you know, extremely profound sedative effect. It also uses vetiver, which in India it's called the oil of tranquility, which I think is really nice. It's not so well known because it's an oriental oil. It's not so well known, but again, it's used as the relax oil there. And if I smell this now, which I'm going to, because it's nice to actually have something kind of tangible going on, it's already, I can smell it from here.
Yeah.
It's really, really potent.
Oh, lovely.
And this is the kind of knockout. It's the kind of knockout oil. But I would say for many people, lavender is the go-to.
Yeah.
If you're really having problems, then you can do this. Put it in a vaporizer, an electric one, not using a candle when you go to sleep.
No.
And yeah, you can also, we also do like a lavender water, and you can spray that on your pillow.
That's nice. Yeah, nice mist. And I think you've got a blend for immunity as well. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
What's that called?
Well, I did kind of two blends. But, well, first of all, what I would say for immunity is, before I go into the blends, because it's the kind of simple approach, I have to mention tea tree, because tea tree is such an amazing oil. It's one of the books I wrote a whole book on, because it's effective against viruses, bacteria, and fungicidal infections, which is very rare, but that includes virus. So it's, but not everyone likes it. And I must say, I've gone off it myself a little. I'll tell you in a minute what I've switched to. Well, I'll tell you now, but I'll go into it more later. I've switched to Fregonia, which actually, it's also an Australian oil that has many of the qualities of tea tree, but it has a really nice scent.
Yes.
And it's also, for me, tea tree is irritant. Fregonia is not irritant. It's a milder oil. So that's a kind of tea tree alternative, if you like. Rosemary is the classic Western herbal immune. It's very good. If you feel you're on the edge of getting a cold, or like a flu, or picking up an airborne infection, surround yourself with rosemary. It's a really good, it's really good in that sense. But the ones that I formulated, you know, for now, in the situation that we find ourselves, but I obviously can't make any direct association, because that's beyond, well, first of all, it's beyond the legislation that I'm allowed to do.
Yes.
What I can say is there were two. One is called Defense, and the other is Mountain Air. And I've got Mountain Air here. They're approaching it from slightly different ways. Defense, and I'm going to tell you what's in it. It's quite a complex formulation. It's actually based on Fregonia, not on tea tree, because I think if you put tea tree in a blend, it dominates. It's got such a powerful medicinal scent. I actually went for Fregonia. And then it has Ravintsara, cinnamon leaf, bergamot, lemon, spike lavender, which I spoke about before, Mei Chang, which is Litzia cuberba, which has this citronelle lal, which is very good antiviral, myrtle, rosemary, and last but not least, clove. Now, I've also been studying Tibetan herbal medicine, which is connected to Ayurveda. And clove features very highly as an antiviral in Asia. And one of the advice that they give is if you are going out and going to be in an exposed place, you put a clove in your mouth.
Oh.
I mean, this is really, it sounds very primitive.
Yes,
but
it does.
But if you think by doing that, it's affecting your mouth and your airways, all of this is connected. It's actually kind of protecting it. So,
well, that's a good tip. Have you tried it?
I have tried it, actually. I have tried it, yeah. When I was traveling, which I have been, I was using clove, and it's actually quite pleasant because you know, it's quite a kind of tangible. You feel like you're quite being tangibly protected.
Yes.
So, but then the other one that I want to mention is mountain air. Mountain air is actually one of my favourites at the moment. And the reason it's one of my favourites is I have an association with Finland because it's based on juniper. It's got a slightly different base. It's all those ones that are used as sort of anti-epidemic and protective ones. Well, right across, it's actually universal. So juniper berry is the basis for this formulation. The reason I like it is because you get juniper in Finland, you get it in America. It's this high altitude, you know, refreshing scent. Also black spruce, pine, all of those are in here.
Yeah.
So this is protecting primarily the respiratory system as opposed to the immune system, where you're dealing with a virus that's airborne.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm using this one at home all the time.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. It transports me to a sort of wilderness environment, if you like.
Yes. Oh, amazing! I can imagine how it smells. No.
Yeah.
And it's what's nice to know is, I mean, it sounds like a really complex blend of oils in that you know, it's taken a lot of thought and research and, you know, and your knowledge, you know, many years of knowledge to actually put these together. But yeah, having something so natural is a real benefit too. So for people, I've always wondered how is best to store you know, essential oils, because I know they come in the sort of the black or, you know, green bottles, but is there a best place to store them at home or in, you know, a hotel, a spa?
Well, first of all essential oils need to be stored away from direct light. So that's why, you know, everyone, well, certainly anyone who's reputable has them in coloured glass bottles. They need to be stored away from light, but also heat, ideally. And I suppose in terms of storage, because they're potent, you need to keep them out of reach of children. You know, so this is another thing that's important. And then in terms of storage, essential oils vary slightly. Like an oil like patchouli or rose, which is a base oil, very viscous, will actually mature with age, like a good wine.
Yes, that's
interesting.
interesting.
Back to that analogy, if you like. Whereas oils which are very lightweight, the ones that vaporize quickly, like lemon, bergamot, grapefruit, they tend to deteriorate. When I say deteriorate, I mean I'm talking 3-5 years.
Oh right, oh good.
This is not like,
I've always wondered how long to keep them. Yeah,
and also there's just the very practical aspect, you know, where if you have a bottle that is half full and therefore half of it is air, that allows it to oxidize, because it's the oxidation that makes things go off. So if you have a full bottle and it's sealed, you know, an essential oil will just basically go on forever. If it's already got the air in it, then it'll deteriorate more quickly. I just want to bring in there the whole thing about deterioration. that we use, you know, carrier oils. You know, so this is like this is like coconut carrier oil.
Yeah.
When you do massage, you combine the essential oils with the carrier oils. And coconut oil and jojoba oil are really good in that they don't deteriorate. Those are the two oils, whereas things like avocado, sweet almond oil, grapeseed will deteriorate, especially when there's oil in the bottle there.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a little bit of variety, you know. Yeah. There are a few things to know, but I would say the main thing is keep them out of light and heat and keep them out of, you know, away from children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Julia, what's you must have or do you have a favourite, or is it a bit like having children? You know, you can't choose one essential oil over the other.
Well, what I would say is I would actually make the analogy with gardening, where I kind of gone through real phases of, you know, first of all, I was growing all herbs, and then I quite liked, you know, this box hedging and going a bit more formal. And then I really liked the wild, and then I liked the American style, you know, kind of grouping the plants. And I think, you know, because of this kind of inherent intelligence we've got, we're drawn to different things at different times. And I suppose the things that I can say, I've always liked. I always like rose. And they say no perfume without rose. And we actually sell a few different types of rose. There's Rose Otto, which is actually an oil, which is slightly lighter, sweeter. Rose Maroc, which is more sensual and deeper. We also do a wild rose, which is absolutely gorgeous. And we're just testing an organic rose as well.
Yeah.
So rose for me never goes out of fashion.
Yeah.
I already mentioned Mountain Air. Mountain Air is my sort of favourite blend at the moment, which I'm using at home. I would say more because of kind of associations. But the other one I have to mention is this Fregonia.
Yes.
I really just think it's such a good oil, especially at this time, because it's the immune support that we're looking for with a nice smell. And we actually did a flower water using Fregonia. So, and this is completely unique. You won't find this anywhere else on the globe, I don't think. So you can literally just use it. You know, it's so easy to use, and it's got a gorgeous smell. It's like uplifting. I don't know, you can't convey scent over.
No, it's very difficult, isn't it? But I think the name Mountain Air, is that the Mountain Air one?
No, this is the Fregonia.
Oh, the Fregonia. Yes, I have actually smelled that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Lovely.
And the Mountain Air, I really recommend it if you want to be transported to a sort of mountain wilderness.
I think we all do at the moment.
Yeah, it really takes you there. You know, so, I mean, if I started talking about my favourites, it would just kind of go on forever. But it should. But I would say these three are where I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. The fact that you do change, it changes things like this, you know, with where you are in your life, doesn't it? And
yeah, it does.
What you're needing. But that's so interesting, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us today. I could talk to you for hours and hours because you've got so much knowledge and, you know, experience to share. Yes, before we leave and say goodbye, could you just tell everyone how we can find out more about you and about Aqua Oleum, the website details? That would be great.
Well, I would recommend that you go to our website, which is just simply aqua-oleum.co.uk. And in order to find out more, there's a lot of information there, basic information on the website. But I also do a blog every month, and that covers just sort of everything from what to do when you go traveling, how to look after your skin. It focuses on different oils, on different months. And I've been doing it for years now. So if you actually look at the blog, and the latest blog that I've done is actually on Pregonia. So you can kind of learn a little bit. It's called like Course Tea Tree.
Yeah.
I like the folk side of it as well, because it gives a kind of historical context to things.
Yeah.
There you can get my books. Also books that are not available in the shops. So for example, there you can get the blending notebook. So
very useful.
Blending, my latest big book, which is also available there, is this one, which is, I can hardly lift it up. It's this one. And this one combines aromatherapy, how you treat things, with a directory of essential oils, and also carrier oils as well. So it's a really complete kind of compendium, if you like. But it's quite a big book. That's all I say. You don't
makes a nice. Yeah, makes a nice gift, or even a gift to yourself, really. But I'm sure everything's included in there. Oh, well, thank you so much, Julia. It's been really lovely having you as our guest. And
well, lovely to see you too.
Yeah, I'm going to head over to your blog and learn a little bit more. Yeah, I'm enjoying using all your products that I've bought. So yeah, continue doing what you're doing.
All right, thank you. You too.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Bye, Julia. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.